hope you're all doing really fantastic. Tonight, we will be talking about the 5 best bedtime stories that you can either tell your best friends, that you can tell your girlfriend, or even your boyfriend in this case. You might not get it on the first try. To get these tingles from my voice, from the music in the background, or literally anything that will float you away. If you guys are ready to lie down and just listen while not having to do anything, then I've got 5 short stories here for you to enjoy and to hopefully help you fall asleep. Our first romance story will be about a fairy tale for a romance after all these years that are passing. Life had changed for me. I never really realized it. Moonlight Walk changed into late night strategy workshops. Candlelight dinner turned into business meetings. Sweet and short phone calls from her transformed into long-hour teleconferences. Gifts were no longer a priority now. There should be some tangible return from whatever we invest, after all. Spending even $5 on a bouquet for the Valentine's Day seemed meaningless. Yet, you would lose at least half an hour searching for a parking space downtown. Overall, there was no respite from the hectic office and future planning. Whenever she, in a very mild attempt, tried to express her feelings, I had the predefined answer. These are all for us only, darling. And she'd be quiet for another month. Recently, I had to go to Holland on a business trip for a week. I was working on an important assignment. I didn't have even 5 minutes to talk to my parents who traveled more than 1,500 miles just to meet us. I called her to inform that I had to leave that evening. It was not new to her. It happened many times, and every time, in the evening, I found her standing at the door smiling, with my suitcase packed with all the necessary stuff. I checked into Crown Inn in Eindhoven, which is in the Netherlands where I am from. It was 3 p.m. and I wanted to rehearse my presentation before I met senior management. Quickly between, I'm really hoping that you guys know how much it means to me to help you guys fall asleep. But let's continue. I was sure that she would have kept the file. In the past, she never missed what I needed. Never ever. But I could not control my anger. I opened my letter case Samsonite, and the file was not there. I took out, or rather threw clothes one by one on the lush floor of Crown Inn. Here it is, I screamed. Phew, what a relief. I knew she never missed even my metallicus taste and never-ending petty demands. And for this important file, I had specifically reminded her. I opened the file. There was a pink envelope inside. Something similar to what we used to actually exchange a very long time ago before our marriage. Those days, Love notes were not made on the internet. It had been more than about 12 years. To actually think about everybody back in time had to write them, but now we all use the computers and all. That was definitely a change. I opened the envelope and had our family photo inside with her and our 2 little ones. We all were smiling. There was a pink greeting card with a red heart printed on it. Inside the card it read, "Miss you, my dear teddy bear." On my way and on my return at Schiphol Airport after many years, I purchased something for her. Just for her. A pair of diamond earrings. I was missing her badly as never before. 2. Love against all odds. Quickly between guys, if you really enjoy these stories and you would want me to do way more, then please let me know in the comments. I would love to know what you guys want me to do. But let's continue with part 2. When a young student of a Catholic church asked her teacher about the reasons why she decided to become a religious sister, her teacher told her a heartwarming love story. It's actually really nice reading that. Many years ago, when she was at a similar age, the teacher, and let's just say we call her Miss Patterson, fell in love with a young man from a wealthy family. The two began seeing each other and quickly developed a really deep connection between the two. Unfortunately, the young man's family was not all in agreement with the relationship. They even threatened to enroll their son at a university far away overseas. As Mrs. Patterson came from a poor background, she couldn't possibly have afforded to go with him at the time. It's actually really sad to see how much goes into people, their love lives, and how much things actually affect it when you're actually being happy with what you have. But let's continue. We're reading a story. I'm not trying to explain my mind here. This meant that if they wanted to continue their relationship, they would be separated from each other, whether they wanted to or not. But they both had fallen so in love with each other that ending the relationship, no matter in what way, was not an option. For this reason, they decided to run away and hopefully stay together in peace. In great secrecy, they planned their escape and set these plans into action until the young man's family finally found out about it. Oof, that's gonna be tough. But instead of quickly returning back home after running away, the two never went back. They joined the church, took holy orders, and began traveling the world for various humanitarian missions. The two spent 40 years traveling and even got married. That's so cute. Shortly before the man's life came to an end. I hope you enjoyed part 2, and I really hope that everybody here is doing amazing, because I'm so thankful to have all of you guys here. Part 3. The Portrait of Love and Devotion. It was the year 1975 with Charlotte von Sletvin, a 19-year-old student of a Swedish royal family, traveled to India to get a portrait made by a gifted artist. The artist was born into a poor Indian family of the lowest caste, also known as the Untouchables. Despite the incredibly difficult circumstances, the artist's name, Prajuma Kumar Mahandia, had gained an outstanding reputation for being a gifted painter. His reputation led Charlotte to travel all the way to India to get her portrait done. By the time the portrait was finished, the two had fallen in love. Prajuma was fascinated with Charlotte's beauty. Never before had he seen a more beautiful woman from the Western world. He gave his best to capture all her beauty in the portrait, yet never actually fully succeeded. But, nonetheless, the portrait was magnificent, and Charlotte fell for his simplicity and beautiful character after all. Because of him, she spontaneously decided to stay longer in India. A couple of days became weeks, and then even months. The two had fallen so deeply in love that they decided to get married according to traditional Indian rituals. Unfortunately, the time came when Charlotte had to leave again in order to complete her studies in London. Thousands of miles separated the two, but their feelings for each other never changed. They stayed in contact through letters, which they exchanged almost weekly. To think about people having such a good connection is actually amazing. Naturally, the newlyweds struggled terribly with the great distance between them. Have you guys ever experienced dating somebody or having a relationship from so far away, and that the distance would really eventually become such a difficult thing in your life? Because I definitely have. Charlotte offered to buy her husband air tickets, which he seemed to refuse. He had not only decided to complete his studies first, but he had also set his mind on reuniting with the love of his life on his own terms. He even made her the promise that he would do anything he could to see her again, just only once. That already would have been enough for him. After Pradyumna had finished his studies, he took all of his possessions and sold them. Unfortunately, the money he earned didn't even come close to a flight ticket. All he really could afford was a cheap and used bicycle. Many would have been greatly disappointed, and some would even have given up. But for Pradyumna, that was not actually the case. Instead of allowing the difficult circumstances to stop him from seeing his beloved wife again, he decided to use what he had in order to see her again. Nothing could stop him from reuniting with her, even if that meant an exhausting bicycle ride halfway across the world. His decision was the beginning of a bicycle journey from India to the Western world. If I had to be completely honest, and somebody would actually do that, that is such a crazy thing to do, but so respectable, and such a sweet thing to do that for the love of your life. At the end, Pradyumna took all of his paintings and brushes along with him in order to make sure that financially support his endeavor would be. His voyage led him through 8 countries and took more than 4 months. But eventually he arrived at Charlotte's hometown in Sweden and finally saw her again from then on. From then on, the two never left each other's side for too long. And Pradyumna was actually whispering, "There has never been a moment that I've been so luckily and so happy with somebody in my life. And there's nothing more that I would want to do but to spend all this time with just this beautiful person next to me." Moving on to part 4, if you haven't fallen asleep yet. Which of course is completely fine. Part 4, the secret to happiness. Emma had kept her secret for so long, letting it grow in her heart. But the secret was so big, she knew she couldn't keep it inside much longer. She wanted to show people how beautiful it was, like heaven on earth, but she wasn't really sure how. At first, she noticed the secret trying to get out when she began smiling at everyone, and they smiled back. Oh, that felt good, so she did it some more. Then she saw her secret working its way out when she talked to people at the grocery store, on the school playground, or, for example, in the neighborhood. She'd say simple things to them like, nice weather, or what a cute baby, or where did you get those cool shoes? And they would answer with a simple, yes it is, or thank you, or at Penny's. They're real comfortable too. She found that being friendly to others made them friendly. She found that being friendly to others made them friendly to her. Next. She tried selling some of her best jokes to someone she thought might need a good laugh. But then she would get to laugh along with them on the way. Then she'd use her imagination to pretend to be a bird, flitting on her tiptoes down the sidewalk, singing happy songs. And she made and sent cards to people she thought might enjoy some mail. These are things she'd appreciate from others herself. And I think this is outside the whole story. But I think when you think of stuff like that, where, you do things for people, and it's really respectful to think of them doing the same thing in return, I think it's something really important to, think about. I'm not sure what you guys think, but it's definitely something that I would love to have, to have you guys talk about. She liked the way the breeze brushed against her body. Next, she tried being a puppy and explored the walking trail in the city park, looking under bushes and growling at squirrels. She would write silly stories in her notebook and paint watercolor pictures on a tablet to make herself smile. Then she would neatly tear them out and give them to her friends. As secret was getting out, she was sharing happiness with others. At first, she was a little afraid she might run out of good feelings for herself, but what she soon discovered was it was quickly being refilled as others shared their happiness with her. Part 5, and I'm really hoping you actually enjoyed Part 4, because I really enjoyed Part 4 myself, not gonna lie. Part 5 with the title, The Cloak of Love, but also the Cloak of Light. Day was the sun and night was a curious man. The night noticed day shining as brilliantly as diamonds on fire in the sky. He was in awe of her warm glow and adored her from the earth. She was so bright that it hurt his eyes to gaze upon her directly. Day loved night. Too, she noticed the effort he made to admire her and wished for him to be closer to her. He could never look at her nor reach for her without being in great pain. She was so bright. It made Day sorrowful to know her glow was painful to her night, but yet she was the sun. She provided earth with warmth and light. It was in her nature to shine, and there was no other way for her to be less sun. Their love was tragic, yet true. They both wished for the same thing, to hold each other and love together for eternity. But they could not, as it caused them both great discomfort. Night was very clever. He decided to craft armor made of his devotion to Day, to shield himself from her mighty fire. He thought to himself, I may safely reach out to Day without being burned to ash nor blinded by her wonderful touch. Surely, this material would withstand her powerful being, and they could finally be together. Day watched Night toil diligently over the armor. At long last, he came to Day after his beautiful, gleaming armor was crafted. She eagerly reached out to him, but she melted his arm in just a moment. Oh no, she exclaimed. She hadn't meant to do this, and I was taken aback and disappointed that his armor was so easily destroyed. But he still adored her after all. However, Day was also upset that her touch had caused him so much grief. Their love was tragic, yet true. They both wished for the same thing, to hold and love each other for all time, but they could not be together as it caused them both discomfort. No matter tonight, he used his enormous heart to fashion himself a cloak made of his love for Day. And I could just picture this really beautiful lady wearing this really nicely made blue coat or cloak made out of love that would protect her and him so they could finally be together as they've always wanted to. It was the strongest material ever made in all of time. Surely, this time the cloak would withstand her mighty touch, and they could finally be together. Night then covered himself with the cloak and went to Day once more. He was a man in love, determined to hold Day close to him. When she saw him in the cloak, she was overcome with joy and shone brighter than ever. This made Night nervous. The cloak was very delicate, but he wasn't sure if it would be destroyed by her intense rays. He reached out to her anyway. Then, something magical happened. They were finally able to hold each other, as they never could have done before. Night gave her happiness, and she wished to return that joy to him. The cloak allowed them to be close. She asked him if he would like to become the moon, and he joyfully accepted to becoming the moon. The last part, I'll do a bit more quiet, because we're coming to a part where you might be falling asleep. For some time, they stayed close to each other, thought this light was pale, in comparison to her wondrous glow. When he became the moon, the beings of Earth were in awe of him. Night was very kind, and he loved Day very much. So much, and so would never ask her to shine less than him. He asked her if she would like to try on his cloak instead. When Day put on the cloak, something amazing happened. The space around her was immediately draped with darkness. Neither of them expected that, but the beings of Earth fell in love with Night, and they began to sing and praise him as they had praised Day. When Day saw this, she loved Night even more, if it were possible. They remained this way for some time. However, the Earth was getting sick without Day's warmth and light. She made Night aware of this, and he became sad because he knew his pale light was not enough in comparison to the gift her brilliance gave the Earth. Night was very intelligent. He knew that without the Earth, he would receive no praise from the beings who lived there. He had compassion for them, as he was like once a mortal human himself. So Night and Day made a promise to each other. Day would wear Night's cloak for a short time, so that they both could shine in their own way for those who loved them most. Day and Night love each other so much. They take turns wearing Night's cloak, made of his pure love for her. Day shines always, and Night is always close to her, proving his devotion and love. Just as they wanted all along, no more did they suffer. Their love is true, but no longer tragic. I want you guys to fall asleep and make sure that you're going to be okay. I'm really happy that I'm here being able to help you guys fall asleep with my voice and this lovely peaceful music just to make sure that you guys will be okay. The story is written by Tara Brown. It all ends and begins with your faith and self-love. And that is definitely true. If you guys have any related articles, or if you guys have any stories, ideas, or topics that you want me to tell, then please let me know, because I'm here for you guys, and I appreciate every single one of you, each and every one. This video was about the 5 bedtime stories for your girlfriend, boyfriend, best friend, or family member. Just like myself, I wish you guys a very sweet night, sweet dreams, and I love you all.